Thank you, Susan. Thank you to the Center for uh, for inviting me again. This is a great event. This is my preferred event of the year. So thank you for having me here. Now, the good news for me is that I get to talk about two extremely interesting countries, Argentina and Colombia. And the funny thing is that on one, I was extremely bullish. The other one, I was extremely bearish. And now circumstances have changed to allow me to have a slightly different view on those two countries. So let me start by talking about the very nice surprise of LATAM. I would call this is probably one of the nicest surprises we have seen in Latin American history, because this should have never happened. I mean, Mauricio Macri was not electable. That person, you as Macri winning in the world of the Kirchners, that was a no-go. At some point, about a year and a half ago, I was giving a conference in Buenos Aires, and I said, the best thing that can ever happen to this country is that you guys elect Mauricio Macri. But I know for a fact that you guys will never elect Mauricio Macri. I don't know, because of the fact that he was the president of Boca Juniors, or the other way around, or because the fact that he is simply somebody who's too much to the right for the comfort zone of Argentina. But it happened. And this is great news. Obviously, it happened because it was a vote to castigate the Kirchner years. It was a vote to castigate corruption and nepotism and all these things that are happening or that happened during the Kirchner years. But we're here, and we have a new beginning, because I would call this a completely new beginning in Argentina. And it's only going to take a few very little things to make this story a very, very good story. It's not that hard. This is not like fixing Greece, which is impossible. This is fixing a country that can be fixed. And here's why. The other day, a very good friend from Bloomberg, a reporter, he calls me and says, Alberto, I need a quote. I need a catchy quote for a story that I'm going to be writing for the Bloomberg magazine. And I started thinking about it, and I said to him, well, I think the best quote is, if Macri doesn't fix the holdout issue, Macri will be unable, not possible, to do anything during his tenure. And I strongly believe that. And the reason why I'm focusing on this is because of this very simple holdout issue. And for those of you that don't know what the holdout issue is, it is a very prolonged legal fight that the government of Argentina has had with some hedge funds in New York. Why? Because the hedge funds won 100% of the Park Lane. Kirchner wanted to pay 40%, and there was no in between. Now, I'm hearing that Luis Seco, a former Deutsche Bank person, is going to be managing this conversation with the hedge funds in New York, and he's going to be under the authority of Alfonso Prat-Gay. Alfonso Prat-Gay is the new finance minister of Argentina. That guy is more right-wing than I am. Seriously, this is as market-friendly as it gets. It's impossible to have somebody more market-friendly in the world than Prat-Gay. And he is going to get the power to fix this problem. Now, just thinking about it, how do you fix this problem? It's very simple. You go to New York, you call the people from the hedge fund and say, okay, let's have a cup of coffee at the Starbucks at Grand Central. And I'll buy the coffee, right? And we sit down, and you and I look at each other in the eyes and say, okay, I'm sick and tired of this thing. We've been fighting for 10 years. How about we get to a deal? The guy is going to say, I want 100%. I'm going to say, I can't pay you 100%. I'm going to get killed politically. But how about we do this? I'll pay you 67%. The guy says, 67 is too little, 80. Say, 80, I'm going to get killed. Okay, how about 69? 69 is too little. How about 78? And then my number, I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong, that's my expectation, is going to be 76.5% of par claim. And then you finish the cup of coffee, you shake hands, and you go. Go back to Buenos Aires, you go in front of the Argentine population and say the following. I'm the president, I'm not going to say, okay, I hate doing this, but I have to do this. This is illogical. These people did not accept a restructuring, but if we don't fix with the holdouts, we cannot move this country forward. And the next thing you say is the following. I cannot sleep when I look at my Bloomberg. Macri can say that because it just sounds too right-wing. You say, I cannot sleep when the people that work for me tell me that if I want to get some new money in New York, I have to pay 8.5% interest on a 10-year bond. When my friends in Honduras pay 6%. When my friends in Bolivia pay 4.5%. When my friends in Paraguay pay 4%. It makes no sense. And then you use your Argentine and you say, because we all know that we're better than Honduras. So we can't pay more than Honduras. And I agree with that statement. Nothing against Honduras. Argentina is a much more evolved country than Honduras. It shouldn't be paying 8% on their loans in New York. That's a travesty. And it costs a humongous amount of money. Just imagine the difference that you make just for your company if they bring down the cost of your mortgage or your loan or whatever from 8% to 4%. You're going to have money to do a lot of things. Like what? Fix the infrastructure of the country, for Christ's sake. You know, build some energy complexes. Open up so that you can invest more for YPF and find some shale oil over there and some shale gas. Fix the external problems of Argentina. Once you fix that very simple issue, that cup of coffee at the Starbucks at Grand Central with the hedge funds, this story takes off. You know why? Because everybody and their grandmother is going to invest in Argentina once you fix this problem. Because it is dirt cheap. It is as simple as that. It is as cheap as you get. If you buy Banco Francés in Argentina, it is as cheap as you get. They have 30-something% of the deposits of Argentina. It's worth something like $2.2 billion. That's nothing. Nothing. That economy is worth $600 billion. The problem is that I don't know, because their Kirchners don't tell me how big the economy is. I don't know. I don't know what inflation is. According to Christina Kirchner, there are more poor people in Germany than in Argentina. Go figure. I mean, we have to deal with this. Just the fact that we don't have to deal with these comments anymore just changes the story so much that, to me, this is a completely new beginning for Argentina. And unlike most of my colleagues that have a very negative view because Argentina is going to have to fix the fiscal accounts, true. Argentina is going to have to fix the external accounts, more than true. All those things are going to have to happen. They will not happen in a vacuum like they did in Greece, a place where you had to adjust policy with no expectation of inflows. Trust me, if they fix this problem, every single hedge fund, buy-side account, investor, etc., will go to Argentina and buy as many interesting things as you can, because Argentina has been living in autarky for 14 years. No money coming in. Why? Because Cristina came up with Cristina and Nestor, they came up with this view that it was a good idea to not accept money from the international world. Go figure. I mean, we're just gonna desendeudar el país, as if Argentina was Norway, for Christ's sake. I mean, you have to build bridges. You have to build energy complexes. You have to do those things, and you don't do those things with retained earnings. You do those things with leverage. So Argentina is going to go back to being a country which is more normal and which will accept leverage. So I'm very bullish on Argentina. Now, I've always been extremely bullish Colombia. I am not that bullish anymore. And here's why. There's a couple of reasons, but the first one is that, unfortunately, God has a sense of humor, and the price of oil is at 37. That should have never happened. It makes no sense. It costs you $65 to get a barrel of oil out of North Dakota. It costs you $50 to get it out of Eagle Ford. It costs you a fair amount, something close, to do it at the Permian Basin. It costs you 70-something to get him out of the tar sands in Canada. And you know what? It doesn't matter. People are still taking those barrels out because they prefer to lose money rather than lose cash flow and lose the customer, which is a very complicated situation. That's why the price of oil is what it is right now. Or because you have people like Maduro or whatever who just don't think and stuff like that, and Saudi Arabia, who wants to get everybody broke so that they can come back and become the most important player in the world. So this war that is happening right now is generating an overshooting in prices that is not going to last, or I hope it's not going to last. My call, and I'm going to be very blunt here, I don't care if it happens or not. I can't see the future. But my analysis tells me that at 37, it is impossible for the oil industry as a whole to survive. That's my call. And therefore, it's going to go up. The price of oil will go up this year because production will start to fall aggressively very soon. At these prices, there's no more financing. For those of you that have Bloomberg, look up high-yield energy. The cost of getting a loan for a company that is based in the U.S. and is in the energy business right now is at 12% over treasuries. That's default level. You can't get money. Simple. There's no money for capital. There's no money for new investment. There's no money for working capital. These companies are going to go broke unless prices go up. So that's a huge risk for 2016, but we'll talk about it probably later in the question and answer. But the problem for Colombia is that Colombia is dependent on oil. And inflows are going to come down, and the currency has depreciated to levels that I already believe are very dangerous. Why? Because I'm Colombian, right? And I know my people. And when the price of the dollar starts to go up like crazy, then the mentality of my uncles and aunts and father come into the table. I remember when I was much younger, I would ask my dad, "Dad, how come you always keep on buying dollars?" And he would look at me and say, "Because you never know what can happen in this country, my friend. It's just too complicated." So if you get that mentality back of people not saving in pesos, but buying dollars, things get complicated. And I'm very worried that we're very close to that level. So if I'm wrong on my call on oil and prices do not start to go up and stabilize, and therefore the currency stabilizes, we're going to have a very detrimental sentiment inside Colombian society, and people will start shifting assets to dollars. You sell the car, you buy some dollars. Why? Because it's going to get very complicated from here. I'm worried about that, very worried. because I've been wrong. I've never expected oil prices to go to current levels because it makes no sense, no economic sense, but things happen. So the fact that I'm being so wrong on this call make me wonder how much things can, get even worse, and then we have a money demand problem, and we don't want to see that because there's many instances in countries in Latam that have seen money demand problems. Okay, let me give you an example, Brazil. Let me give you another example, extreme, Venezuela, Argentina. If people start or get into the mentality of protracted currency depreciations, we're going to be in a tough situation. The good news, again, is that I don't believe that oil prices can continue to go down. And if I'm right, we're going to find some stability. And if we have some stability, 2016 is an okay year for Colombia. Okay. Doesn't matter if Santos signs a peace agreement with the FARC or not. That's irrelevant. It's not going to push growth or something. Whatever you hear about it, it's not true. Signing an agreement with the FARC is not going to make Colombia the next Singapore. No. You know why? Because these people are narco-traffickers, and you cannot, if you're a narco-trafficker, it's not like the next day you're going to be a good person, right? Those things don't happen. If you're bad, you're bad, and it's going to take forever or never for you to change. Thank you.